Kemi Badenoch's plan here is clearly to appear a little bit like Nanny and say, well, you're both as bad as each other. She's launched a double-barrelled broadside at both Sir Keir Starmer and Nigel Farage, and her target, the two-child benefit cap, and more broadly, welfare reform. But behind the headline-grabbing rhetoric accusing Labour and Reform UK of both a race to the bottom, I don't know whether that's anything to do with April, lies a tangled mess of ideological contraction, electoral panic, and a revealing glimpse into the fractured state of British conservatism. In a Daily Mail article, Badenoch accuses both Starmer and Farage of colluding in what she calls a race to the bottom by backing the removal of the two-child benefit cap. She claimed they were asking ordinary taxpayers, many of whom are struggling to raise their own children, to fund unlimited child support for others. This is classic Badenoch, equal parts moral sermon and monetarist gospel. She casts herself as the sole guardian of fiscal discipline, standing aloof, she implies, from the grubby world of political horse trading and easy promises. But is it credible? She lambasts Farage for saying whatever he wants in order to get into power. But the irony is that this is exactly what the public now see in the Conservative messaging. They too offered Brexit dividends that never arrived. They promised levelling up without lifting a finger. And now Badenoch offers sound money as a kind of moral tonic, as if poverty were best treated with restraint. Why attack both Labour and Reform at once? Because both are now eclipsing the Tories. According to the latest YouGov polling, Badenoch's Conservatives are in fourth place, absolutely on the bottom, behind Labour, Reform, and even the Lib Dems. It's an electoral humiliation not seen since the waning days of Theresa May. It's not Farage and Labour who are on the race to the bottom. The Conservatives under Badenoch have actually got there. By attacking both Starmer and Farage together, Badenoch seeks to reframe the political battlefield. But all she's saying is, it's cold down here, why don't you come and join me? She casts herself as the adult in the room. The adult in the room, the adult on the floor. The last serious figure among fantasists, well, that's a laugh. Starmer, she claims, folds under pressure. Farage, she warns, makes empty promises that will unravel in government. She actually thinks that he's going to get into government. Oh, for goodness sake, she hasn't thought this through. And this triangulation, placing herself between Farage's populism and Starmer's managerialism, has one glaring flaw. It presumes the electorate is still listening to her, which it's not. Badenoch insists that welfare should be a safety net, not a way of life. And that phrase is loaded. It conjures up old tropes about dependency and moral failure designed to appeal to a dwindling base that sees virtue in austerity. But the policy in question, the two-child benefit cap, is not some ludicrous handout. It's a cap that disproportionately penalises large, low-income families, particularly those living in poverty. The cap doesn't apply to child benefit for the first two children. It merely denies further support. It's been described as Child Poverty Action Group. It's been described by the Child Poverty Action Group as a driver of deep poverty. Farage, ever the populist, has spotted the electoral opportunity. He wants to lift the cap, but not because, as he says, he supports a benefit culture. Rather, he frames it as economic relief for low-paid workers. I would frame it as betting on the future, as ensuring that the future can pay for the present, that there will be people who are paying tax in the future that can support the increased number of pensioners that we have to pay for. Farage is right to support an increase in the number of children, and Badenoch is simply on the wrong side of history here. Starmer remains cautious, under pressure from Labour backbenchers and Rachel Reeves' fiscal hawkishness. So what exactly is Badenoch proposing? Nothing. Just moral tutting and a refusal to engage with the reality that many families already feel because of their crisis. What makes Badenoch's intervention so ineffective is that it lacks credibility. The Tories introduced the two-child cap. They presided over years of benefit freezes. They let food banks become normal. And now, having failed to offer economic growth or wage support, they claim the moral high ground over welfare spending and over any form of relaxation and mercy and consideration and care. It's a strange kind of audacity, one that doesn't resonate, particularly when she's speaking from the ruins of a party that she has destroyed, that has lost its parliamentary majority, its economic reputation, and now apparently its polling relevance. Kemi Badenoch accuses Farage and Starmer of treating economics like showbiz, but it's the Conservatives who spent a decade selling off the props of state and now wonder why no one wants to pay for a ticket. It isn't a race to the bottom, it's a competition for relevance in a post-Tory age. The problem is not that Farage and Starmer are reckless, it's that Badenoch, for all her rhetorical fire, has nothing left to sell except the fading promise of fiscal responsibility, a phrase which, in modern Britain, feels less like a governing philosophy and more like an historical artefact.